mean, our paths obviously didn't really intertwine until we, out of high school, we were both recruited by Chapman, or Division III in the area in Orange County as well. So yeah, we both were drawn to Chapman through basketball. We played together for 4 years there. After college, yeah, I mean, I went overseas and tried to play some hoops. As we were talking about, Dan ventured into the mutual fund, his first love, but didn't work out how I wanted, but then got back into coaching. And I mean, we've stayed in touch, obviously, ever since. You know, I was over here and I'd be home every summer, and you know, we always love to talk the game and share the game. And I think it may not have been consciously like something we were always planning, but I think the roots were always there. And then fortunately, kind of a good bad of this situation is me and Dan had a lot of free time. Our seasons were both canceled, and we just decided, hey, let's go for it. You know, we're always talking about hoops. We love the game. Let's try to share what we love about it. And we got a really good response. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed, and we just kept trying to build, and are still trying to build. But yeah, I mean, it was basketball that brought us together at Chapman, 4 years there, and just, you know, remaining good friends and continuing to love the game.
I think Pat probably doesn't remember this, though. I think we met even earlier. His junior year, we played each other in a summer league game, and Pat kicked the crap out of us. Well, sorry, we beat you.
Kicked the crap out of us,
which was like a first in the history of Costa Mesa ever beating El Toro. But after the game, I thought, that's a guy I want to start a podcast and basketball company with. You know, I just knew it, and it kind of just. So I set the groundwork.
You could tell there was some sort of chemistry,
right,
on
like,
the court.
I bet you this guy's going to be pretty good at Adobe in a few years. So I see our guys go on and have careers in different fields and whatnot. And to your point, you know, I think one of the most valuable things playing at the D3 level is you really are there for both your education and for basketball. And not that other places aren't, but, you know, Chapman's a very high academic school. You know, you're studying to go into specific fields or whatnot. And so it's been fun to see a lot of our friends go into different paths and go into, you know, different areas of business and consulting and sales and start their own companies. And, you know, some have also gone into coaching or different parts of basketball. And so, you know, there's a bond and kind of a brotherhood when you play with a group of guys for 4 years. And, you know, I know for Pat and I, some of our closest friends that are still the guys that we played with on those teams, and they've all gone on to successful careers and said multiple industries. You know, I think it kind of can depend on the school you go to. You know, Chapman has a great business school, and so a lot of the guys on the team are business majors, and so they go into some type of finance or sales or marketing or things like that. And so that's where I've seen a lot of our personal friends, you know, grow and go into and have successful careers.
Yeah, I mean, just to add, I mean, to Dan's point, I think what's so cool about the whole experience as we see, you know, as we get further and further away from when we played, and just have people have branched out into their careers and their families, to have this unique thread of basketball that kind of holds us all together is invaluable, and is, yeah, one of the biggest things I look back on when I think of Chapman. I don't think, I mean, of just the relationships, not even the games anymore. You know, they will fade, but it's the relationships that stick. After college, I still really wanted to play, so that kind of drove me, or I was kind of single-minded in that fact. So, you know, reached out to some coaches, but specifically Coach Brian Newhall from Occidental. He was a really big help, and kind of just pointing me in the right direction of what countries to look at, and like really how to go about doing it. I wasn't going to look to hire an agent coming out of Division III, and so he was instrumental. And long story short, I mean, I just email blasted, you know, leagues and countries where I felt, a Division III player would have a good chance of getting picked up. And it took a while. I mean, it took a real long while, but eventually, a club over in Germany was gracious enough, and they took me. They set me up with like a family to live with and coach some youth teams. And I came over. I mean, it was a no-brainer. I mean, beggars can't be choosers at that point. So they said yes. I said, all right, perfect. Just tell me when. So I came out, and that's how I got out to Germany, and then just again started, working my way up through the leagues. And I retired a couple of years ago, but I've been over here now for 13, 14 years.
My career, my story is I am also a musician, and it was after, I think it was after my third album came out that I was lucky to have it get picked up and do pretty well in some of the markets on the radio in Europe. And so I was able to get connected with a booking agent, and they wanted to book a tour out in the Netherlands and Germany and whatnot. And so that was my first of a couple of tours over there. Unfortunately, my last couple have been delayed due to the pandemic, like a lot of folks. But yeah, I love going over to Europe. I've always just been a fan of all the countries over there, and so I was able to go and do that with music. And so kind of how I had set up my life is I would finish the basketball season, and then there was about a month window in the off season where I would take off and head over to Europe and try to play some shows and do all that. And so the last couple of times have been fun. Pat's been able to come out to the shows, and he's a great hype man in the audience, so really gets the crowd on their feet. So it's a lot of fun when I'm able to go over there and do that.
I don't know, born out of necessity or boredom, but I think Dan had the idea of let's just kind of post stuff that interests us. We're always watching games, so why not? So we started to do that, and it really kind of began when Dan posted a clip of Yeshiva, Division III in New York, that runs a really unique 5-out kind of, or not 5-out, but a motion offense with no on-ball screens, which is kind of unheard of to do no on-ball screens in today's game. And that clip got, I wouldn't say viral for us, let's say it got viral, but it got a lot of views and a lot of interest. And from there, it sparked our interest too, because we're naturally curious. And so we kind of looked at more film, and then just talking like, hey, we should put a breakdown together. Like, so many people are interested in this. Let's put a breakdown together. And then as we started trying to put the breakdown together, me and Dan are asking ourselves, like, what are some of the common, trends, or not trends, but what do you think the rules are, or the guidelines are? What kind of the principles of this offense? And then the next question was like, why don't we try to ask the coach? And so Coach Steinmetz was super generous with his time, and he came on, and it was, again, I don't think there was anything we planned to do as far as like a podcast, but we definitely said let's record it and see what happens. And so honestly, I think Yeshiva, they kind of started our video breakdown and our podcast, and just us being curious about the offense, and that got a great response, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And we just said, why stop? Let's just keep kind of going, like, what's next? And again, we had so many other things that were interesting us about the game, and trying to explore ourselves and learn ourselves. And then we just said, let's try to reach out to some more coaches.
Both Pat and I are obviously hoop junkies, and we've spent a ton of time just talking with, amongst ourselves about where we kind of want to position ourselves within the basketball landscape as far as content. And we follow so many great people. We consume a lot of stuff, and we've always tried to look at, okay, like where's there an opportunity for us to maybe find our unique voice and make things fun, make things easy to understand, break the complex down into more simplistic terms, for ourselves, and then maybe just for other coaches that were out there. And I think we've spent a lot of time thinking about that, talking about that, And then, the podcast and that sort of stuff is just born from asking those questions first amongst ourselves. I mean, Pat and I, before each podcast interview we do with each guest, we spend at least an hour meeting, just Pat and I, talking through ideas, looking at film, and we just really enjoy that. So that way, when we get to the podcast, we're as curious as we can be, and hopefully, can lead it in a good direction. And so, it's just like Pat mentioned, things have grown, and we've enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed connecting, and we've enjoyed kind of building. As we've grown, we've added different parts of our business and added a newsletter, added, different video elements, adding more podcasts, things like that we're just having a blast. We're really enjoying this whole ride. We really are.
They've been super gracious to come on, the coaches we've had on to come on and share their time, but then they've also been very gracious in helping us kind of grow and reach out to people and kind of spread the word. So that's kind of been our lifeline to where we got now. Obviously, number one, help coaches learn, but just be a place where they can learn, but they can come and just the conversation can be held with Slappin Glass or with us, and they can learn, they can see all the different ways. There's so many different ways to play this game and to coach this game, which I think me and Dan love and explore, trying to find out all the different ways. So that's the thing. We're not trying to push any one thing or any one way. It's just with our podcast, come and you're going to hear a new way, or hopefully learn something you didn't know before. And just we want to be able to foster this great conversation about the game that we love.
I go back to our voice in this whole thing, and on the podcast, we want to just be looked at as we're fostering a great conversation and highlighting whatever it is that coach does well, and whatever their philosophy or whatever it is, that we want to just pull that out and have it be where, you're going to get an hour of a great conversation from a, really great basketball mind. And no matter where that person is, no matter what level they're at, I think we've tried really hard to, it's obviously unbelievable, and Pat and I are sitting there with Jeff Van Gundy doing a podcast. That's really cool. But it's also really cool to sit and have these great conversations with coaches that not as many people have heard of, and to hear their philosophy. And we enjoy, as the podcast has grown, being able to highlight different parts of the world or the country where coaches are doing really great things. And I think that's always been our goal. And then honestly too, our goal has been to also make it a little bit, to add levity, to add some fun. We really try to hit the X's and O's hard for a part of the podcast. That's part of what we do. But we also want to break it up a little bit, have a little fun. Basketball's fun. It's the greatest game in the world. We want that to kind of come out too, so that, when you get done listening, hopefully you've laughed a little bit, you've learned something, and you feel like it's a place you want to continue to go back to, because you feel it's worth your hour time investment to spend with us. And something that I think me, like you said, still being a professor and obviously the associate coach at Chapman, I get a chance to talk to student athletes all the time about their futures, and then in the recruiting process, what are you getting when you come to a 4-year Division III university? And a college team is one of the best, maybe the best place and time in your life for a young man or woman to learn, really valuable life skills that you can't always get in a classroom, or you could learn about in a classroom, but you get applied knowledge being on a college team. You understand what it's like to lose a tough game and have to get up the next day for practice. And you understand what it's like to not get the playing time you want, or to make the game-winning shot and handle the success. You get what it's like to have to work through difficult team dynamics on a day-to-day basis. And those skills are really, really hard to teach in a classroom setting and to, get tested on. So when you come to a Chapman or to wherever it is, and this isn't even necessarily at the D3 level, but getting that team experience is just so important, so that when you do become, someone that's going out into the working world, you've done that stuff. You've gone through tough days and had losses and had wins and dealt with the teammate you don't really like that much, but you got to work with them anyway. I mean, you've done all those things. And I think that's what we always try to talk about with our guys, is that, like Pat mentioned earlier, the wins and losses, you'll remember some, you'll forget other ones, but learning how to be a good teammate and learning how to have applied leadership knowledge is just so invaluable. And that's something that we try to stress all the time at our level.
I mean, I guess the advice, if you're trying to become a professional, I think it's pretty simple and straightforward. And I think, like any profession, of course, work on your craft. If you want to be good at basketball, keep working. Always have like this growth mindset. But I think the biggest thing is, like, just be a good person, man. Show up, be on time. Respect your teammates, the people who are helping you out. I think that's the biggest thing I see in my experience of players who did or did not stick. Is it was just, it's a huge adjustment to come over to Europe, and not really have any European experience as far as living. It's huge. It's crazy different. And it's people can't. That adjustment is enough to send people home. And then it's a profession, so you got to do your work. You got to put in the time. It's not all like glitz and glamour because you came over to Europe and you think you've made it. I wasn't. I was an all right player, and I didn't play at the high level leagues. And it's a grind. You play in some terrible gyms. You make some long ass road trips. So you got to be in it for the right reasons. You got to love the game, and probably even more than that. You like I said, you got to be a good person. You got to do the little things off the court that matter. People are paying you money, and the fact of the matter is, there's probably like 1,000, if not the hundreds of thousands, of someone at home in the States right now just itching to come out, and he'll probably do it for less. So, I think that would be the biggest thing. I think just be solid. Be solid, and of course, I think it goes the basketball. Be a good basketball player. That definitely helps, but it's the other things. It's everything that's off the court that goes into it to being a professional that will give your career longevity and actually be able to play multiple seasons or to survive one season. That would be my biggest advice. We're constantly thinking of new things. Me and Dan probably spend more time on what possibilities than on probably more important daily business stuff. But one thing we're really excited about, and conversations we had with coaches in a podcast or just in our day-to-days, is about coaching and crunch time. And I think what we've kind of learned is, you can go on YouTube, you can sign up, and you can go to all these coaching clinics, and they're all very good, they're all very valuable. But it's usually about some sort of transition offense or some defense or some tactics, but they don't really emphasize, I would say, how to coach in these crunch time moments, these close late game situations, and kind of how to prepare yourself, what to be looking for. I think it's an underserved area of the coaching field. And I heard that we've talked with a lot of coaches who are constantly trying to improve at that, and have coached for several years and still don't feel comfortable or still don't know the right answer. So with that being said, we wanted to kind of give coaches a resource, and we released a part one with Coach Josh Leffler from John Hopkins, where we sit down with the coach and we kind of run through a close game the last 4 minutes and just watch the video and kind of pick his brain, so to speak, and just how he views these minutes, kind of his strategy, what went into his decisions, in the hopes that it, again, like anything we do, maybe a coach can watch it and pick up something, or kind of make him think about something he previously wouldn't think about or thought differently of in a late game situation. So yeah, we're super excited moving forward. We got some coaches coming down the line that I think again will add a lot of value. And I like everything we do. It's really fun for me and Dan to sit with these coaches and just like hear them think and how they view the game. It's been really cool, and we're excited to release more moving forward.